Alright, welcome back. Now, previously we have drawn these two circles, right? Now we're going to write down the answer based on this thing. So where's my BOC? My BOC is actually here, right? Impact on the fire plants. You can see the BOC is the same, right? On the Russian people, right? On the Russian people. Then you see one is negative, one is positive. Now I just need to write it down properly in my sentence. So this is the answer here, right? So you see ATQ, both sources different. Because I'm writing different, I write the word different down. Different. Then I use the word with regards to, and then after this is my BOC, impact of Stalin's economic policy. So here's my BOC. Okay, take note, this is a neutral term. Okay, because I'm going to have contrasting inferences, which I'll write down later on. Okay, so now I go on to the specific source. C tells me impact was positive, okay, whereas D tells me impact, so I'm talking about the same BOC. Can you see? Same BOC, yeah. D tells me impact, now I write negative. Okay, after that, all I need to do now is just my evidence explain. So here's my evidence, right? Children's swollen bellies, blah 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 blah, and then I explain here. Implies that policies have led to unhygienic and overcrowding, malnutrition. This is all that I wrote in my last part of my circle of life over here. Okay, after that, then I move on to D. I say, however, and D evidence here, the evidence here, which I jotted down here briefly, and then when I explain, I'll use all these keywords here. Okay, this means that the economic policies were a great success, help people to provide opportunities to achieve prosperity and look after the well-being of the Russians to grow their potential. So all these things you can see here is in my own words. Alright, so that's how you do it. Now, when you do a comparison question, there's also a similarity. So for the similarity, you have to look for something different from your difference. It cannot be, there's no double marking. Okay, so if one aspect is talking about the impact on the Russian lives, right? The other impact you can talk about is the output, right? It's the output, the country as a whole, right? Now you're going macro level, talking about the country as a whole. What do you think about the success of these fire plans to the country as a whole? So let's see whether we can find anything. Okay, now it says here the fire plants have built many fine factories with machinery. Okay, this is talking about industrialization, right? This is probably talking about industrialization, and many new factories clearly implies that it's successful. Okay, then you think further a bit. So what does it mean for the people? Right, it means the people were efficient. Right, it means the plans were well thought out. Okay, you can only have success if your plans are well thought out, if you are efficient, right? So clearly this part here is talking about industrialization. Okay, so now that we have our topic, right, let's see whether we can find this same topic in the other source as well. So you have to look at both sources together. And indeed, the other source also has something about the factories. Everywhere we see new factories being built. Okay, Russians are setting an example of industry and conduct. Again, this clearly tells me that the industrialization or the building of factories, the modernization of Russia is successful. Okay, yes, so that's that. Now let's draw a circle of life. Now our BOC is now going to talk about industrialization, because we saw both of these inside the two sources. Okay, right, the whole program is successful. Now because I'm doing similarity, right, so both are going to have the same point. So immediately I can write down my point here. My point is here, and then my BOC is about industrialization. So my conclusion about industrialization is it is successful. Okay, now circle of life, evidence. What's the evidence of C? Evidence of C is many fine factories. You see many fine factories. Okay, you can just briefly write down because you don't have much time. Alright, this is from source C. Okay, now then I can move on to evidence of source D. Okay, which is many new factories. Again, source D also says new factories were being built. Okay, new, what else does it say? It also say Russians are setting example of industry. Right, Russians are also setting example of industry. Dark green. Okay. So now in my explanation, I'll just write on all my annotations right here, right? Which is successful, right? Because of the potential, efficiency, and everything is well thought out. So it's about the workers were motivated. Again, this is my own words when I'm making my explanation. Workers are motivated. You have efficiency. Okay, people are meeting their quotas, and you have modernization of Russia. Okay, this is my conclusion, my implication based on the evidence that I see, right? So I see new factories. Oh, probably means that people are motivated. I see the Russians are example of industry. Oh, it means that they are super efficient. They managed to meet all their quotas. They managed to modernize Russia to where it needs to be. And therefore, if you see all these things happening, right, it clearly goes back to the main point, right, to imply that industrialization is indeed successful. So the circle must be complete, right? Your evidence is meant to give you the facts, and with the facts you will explain them and try to help to convince the market that your main point here is true. Okay, so once you see everything very clearly written down, that means that you're good to go. So how will it look like in my, if I write it in the full sentence? Here, our next paragraph, write similarity, answer the question. Both sources are similar in telling me economic policies. Okay, that is my point, right? The 5-year plans. Okay, apologies, I need to write 5-year plans because that is what the question wrote. The 5-year plans economic policy achieved considerable success in industrialization. So this is my BOC, and as you can see in this BOC, there's an inference here. The inference is success. Why is there inference here? It's because the two inferences are the same, so I don't need to write down the 2 points after this. I can immediately move on to my evidence here. So evidence of C, then evidence of D. So once I'm done with that, then I can immediately explain both together. Okay, successful. Again, my explanation comes from this part of my circle. So it means that everything is successful in my own words. I didn't paraphrase. Okay, I didn't repeat my point. So again, don't paraphrase. Okay, don't lift, don't repeat point. Because when you're explaining, you're trying to convince the marker of your point, not repeat my point. So how do I convince the marker? Well, all my evidence clearly shows that everything is successful, spurred the motivation and efficiency of the Russian workers, and they meet their quotas. This helped to modernize Russia with the different industries. Alright, and therefore all these things clearly explain why the plans actually achieve considerable amount of success. Okay, so that's how you do it, your comparison. You must look out for the topic first. Look out for the characters. What character are you going to focus on? A specific character? Okay, are you going to focus on a specific plan? Are you going to focus on a specific country? Or are you going to focus on the people? Who are you going to focus on? And then from this focus, then you get the inference out, and then you see whether the inferences are matching or the inferences are contrasting, and then from there you do out your circle of life in order to plan out your answer, so that when you write it down, it will flow. Everything will flow very nicely. Okay, yes, so that's how you do your comparison question.